Hello and welcome to Paint to Life, the YouTube channel where I take tiny plastic miniatures, give them my best attempt at a paint job, then breathe life into them with storytelling, like a dungeon master should. Today I will be assembling and painting a DnD Frameworks Ogre. The How to Paint video as well as my review of the Ogre will be released on Tuesday. And hey, if you enjoy my content, please like and subscribe, and click that bell to be notified when my latest content is released. I'm GM Atank, let's get painting. What is an ogre? Ogres are giant humanoids that stand around 10 feet tall with very muscular bodies and large heads, with a lineage that is both giant and humanoid. They are an unintelligent, lazy, brutish, and greedy race, yet with no real concept of wealth. They don't know gold is more valuable than silver, for example. Their avaricious nature would typically be reserved for squabbling over the food supply and who gets to eat first. Much like the hill giants they serve, ogres are gluttonous creatures willing to eat almost anything. They enjoy the taste of raw dwarf flesh, but they will also eat halfling or elf flesh when they can get it. An ogre will also use the skin, furs, and bones of their prey to fashion crude loincloths and necklaces. As a dungeon master, ogres are a great boss for a younger, less experienced adventuring party to face, as they have a lot of health to last at least a few rounds, and an extremely dangerous single attack that keeps everyone on their toes. So, who is our ogre? In the country of Cormyr, one of the most civilized and prosperous kingdoms in all of Faerun, it was a beautiful spring afternoon. The aging halfling Fosco was traveling west along a highway through the Stormhorn Mountains, on a horse-drawn cart full of Sembian wine for trade along the Sword Coast. Tymora, goddess of luck, I am humbled by your affection, kindly blessing me with such a beautiful day for a ride despite so much rain otherwise of late. Just then, a towering humanoid stepped onto the road from behind some trees, wielding a small tree as a massive club. Tymora, my love, what did I say to vex you so? Greetings, good ogre friend. My name is Fosco. Can I help you? The ogre, his facial features twisted in a wash of confusion, tapped his chest once and said, Kreg. The ogre then raised its massive hand towards Fosco and bellowed, Food. Oh, of course. How foolish of me. Please, friend, help yourself. The halfling casually tossed his rucksack full of smoked chipmunk meat towards the ogre. The futility of the gesture was immediately apparent, as the tiny halfling's pack scaled comparably to the ogre as a single sunflower seed thrown to an ostrich. Ah, by Siric's crooked nose, Fosco cursed, as the ogre leapt in a giant bound, landing atop the horse and wagon with a mighty impact, the force of which knocked Fosco to the ground, unconscious. He awoke to noises of bones cracking, meat tearing, and a slurping sound coming from over shoulder. The ogre had torn his horse to pieces and was eating the meat from the large bones like GM Atank eats chicken wings. Additionally, many of the wine bottles in the crates had smashed, pooling wine in the cart, which the ogre was holding aloft, draining the purple river into its trough-like mouth. Fosco made a futile attempt to get up silently with his injuries, inevitably drawing the ogre's attention. More food? Well, it looks like I'll be home earlier than I thought, Yondala. The halfling prayed to himself, accepting his inevitable fate. When suddenly, all parties turned their attention to the noise of rapidly approaching hooves. Knights of Tyr, on horseback, from nearby Crown Station out on patrol, stumbled upon the scene, longswords drawn and at the ready, encircling the ogre and interrupting his advance. Ha! Take that, you stupid churl! Fosco put his hands up in the air in a mock surrender-like pose, despite the pain from his broken ribs. But then something happened that no one expected. The ogre, staring at Fosco, emulated his behavior, also put its hands up in the air. As stated, Cormyr is one of the most civilized and prosperous kingdoms in all of Faerun. What makes a nation civilized and prosperous? Put simply, adherence to law and order, and no one in Cormyr exemplifies that devotion more than the followers of Tyr, the god of justice. The captain of the Tyrian knights stayed his men from killing the beast. Gentlemen, this ogre is surrendering. Put it in irons. We return to Crown Station where it will be judged. What? The halfling could not fathom not just killing such a vile and dangerous creature on the spot, but his protests fell on deaf ears, and he accompanied them back to town. Supporting a well-armed and trained population of about 2,000 humans with a modicum of halflings and dwarves, Crown Station had the highest percentage of Tyr worshippers per capita than anywhere else in Cormyr. The main purpose of Crown Station was to be a highly defensible choke point along the road into and out of Cormyr, but also to provide support for the maximum security prison high in the mountain peaks above, known as the Storm Vault Citadel. Not long after arriving, there was indeed a trial for Kreg the Ogre. The halfling Fosco would be the main plaintiff, heard by a defender of justice, a judge. A very arrogant lawyer from the capital city, Suzail, named Kevin, volunteered to represent the ogre pro bono, excited at the prospects of proving his legal prowess directly against the faithful of Tyr. Hundreds of people were in attendance. The defender of justice read off the charges. Destruction of property, attempted murder, cruelty to animals, Fosco interrupted. Kreg bellowed while shaking his manacles. Halfling food! And we'll add threatening behavior, said the judge. Kevin's case for the defense was strong. What exactly had Kreg done wrong? He wasn't trespassing, he had no weapons of any kind, that tree was merely a walking stick. He asked for food, and when the halfling offered, isn't it possible the half-wit ogre considered he was offering all he had? A knight from the patrol testified that the ogre made no sudden moves to attack them, and when surrounded, gently surrendered without quarrel. During a recess, Fosco spoke privately with Kevin and explained the fear he felt, and that there was nothing natural about Kreg. He was a monster. Please, ensure this monster can never hurt anyone again. When the trial continued, however, Kevin's final arguments were exactly the opposite. Kreg is just a creature, as free to live as you or I, enacting on his natural instincts, confused with no malice or ill intent. The judge seemed to agree with Kevin. Dumbfounded, Fosco asked, But what about my lost property? The judge mused. As Kreg has no means to pay you the damages, Tyr's court sentences it to a 3-month incarceration in Stormvault Citadel. Case dismissed. Fosco was shocked and at a loss. He left Crown Station to return home with only 3 remaining bottles of wine from his shipment. Kreg is serving a 3-month sentence. But less than halfway through, some prison guards took the ogre to meet with his attorney. Hey, Big Kreg, you're not gonna believe this. Due to a technicality, your man Kevin got all charges dropped against you. You're free to go home. Kreg home? No, you can go home. Kreg home. No, you half-wit. I was able to get you free by claiming first-time offender and that you were acting only in your nature. A large, natural smile came across Kreg's face. Food. What are you doing? Let go of me. Help! Guard! Help! Kreg is now serving a 25-year sentence in the Stormvault Citadel, and he enjoys every day of it. So, what did you think of my story of Kreg the Ogre? Here's the finished mini for the shelf. The How to Paint video, as well as my review of the Ogre, will be released on Tuesday. If you're interested in purchasing some of these frameworks models for yourself, head on down to your friendly local gaming store and put in a pre-order for one. Street date is March of 2022. Tell them GM Atank sent you, and please pass along my channel to anyone you think might enjoy it. If you're from the Niagara area, know that we will be hosting an assembly and paint night to promote the launch of frameworks at Phoenix Rising in St. Catharines, as I mentioned last week. Stay tuned to the channel for more information as that date gets closer. If you happen to be on YouTube poking around, check out the Paint to Life community tab. We have some fun polls up there, and that sort of interaction helps the channel grow as well, so I appreciate it. That's all I have for you tonight. We'll see you next time. I'm GM Atank. Wash your hands, people. I let the teleprompter hit the bottom and it went all the way back to the top, so I'm using the remote to get back. This thing is so awesome. Why didn't I buy this years ago?